Hey,
Hey, how are you?
how are you?
I am good.
I'm gonna turn the volume up here. Well, I'm coming to you live still from the tannery, but today we actually have our shelter-in-place orders going in effect at 6 p.m. tonight, so we have to go home.
Man,
So,
y'all, so you said, so that's for the entire state that it's
yeah,
going into effect?
entire state of Georgia. So, trying to
Wow.
serve. So, is y'all's whole state? No, Tennessee is not. It's just Nashville. Is that right?
Correct. Just Davidson County, but I believe yesterday it was signed that I don't know exactly when it's going to effect. Maybe tonight, or actually, I believe it's Monday night. I believe it's going into effect that the entire state
Yeah.
have to go into shelter in place. Yeah, it's
How
pretty wild.
how long will y'all's be for?
I wanted to say it said 14 days. You know, everything I feel like is 2 weeks out. You know, they're taking 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
I would have to go back and read the order. I read the entire thing yesterday, but there was so much information packed in there. But they're getting pretty serious about it. No social gatherings whatsoever. They said that the Nashville Police Department is able to take force if need be. You know, so they're pretty serious about it. They said that they've seen a lot more activity in the Davidson County area or just across the state lately, and so this is their way of saying, hey, it's not over yet. We still have a long way to go. So I'm just doing as I'm told.
Well, like we are, because we have a tannery, and one of the things that we have is a water treatment facility. We do have to still come and check on that, and that's something that, probably one of my brothers will come in and check on that. But we're sort of in one of those gray area industries where, because we do have a water treatment facility, we do have to check on things, but all of our employees will be home safe. And it'll probably just be, myself or, family members that are up here sort of checking on things. So anyways, but kind of weird times, but thankfully it gives people the opportunity, gives us the opportunity to do this. So it's kind of fun. And while everybody's sitting at home, maybe they can learn something. So I guess just to introduce everybody, introduce ourselves, I'm Christy Plott. My family owns American Tanning and Leather Company. And this is Justin Bowen, and he is the master over at Lucchesi in the Asheville store and customer specialist, product specialist. And so we thought it would be fun to talk to both of our followers about giant alligators and about product care. And we just thought we'd just basically be asking each other questions. So I don't know, Justin, I guess we can just take turns. What do you think? And then if anybody else has questions, we have some giveaways that anybody who asks a question, we will basically put you guys in a drawing and send some things out to you, send some goodies from Lucchesi and from American Tanning out to you. So I'll let you ask the first question, I guess.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in where the hide, where the leathers and everything come from. And I know with y'all being in Griffin, Georgia, you're right there at the source of it all. One of my main questions was, it kind of has to do with the history of AmTan. When did y'all start, and how did it really start?
Okay, so my family has been in the hide and skin business since 1923. My great-grandfather was the only son of, some people who just lived in North Georgia, and they had little farms. Mm-hmm. And I think that my great-grandfather decided that he didn't want to have to bear the brunt of working on a farm by himself. Yeah. And so he tried to figure out some ways to earn money. And so he was, like most guys during the, the teens, the 19-teens and the early 20s, is around in North Georgia, they did a lot of living off the land. And so they trapped and they hunted. And so he was basically trapping, and then he would sell his furs to fur dealers. Well, after a couple of fur seasons, he saved his money, and then he decided that he thought he could be a fur dealer. So he started buying furs from his friends, and then he would resell those to other people, which is pretty incredible considering he only had an 8th grade education, that he was able to do that.
Right, yeah.
And so he had a son. My grandfather was his only son, and he ended up following into that business. My grandfather had a sporting goods store in Atlanta, so that gave him the outlet to meet a lot of guys that like to hunt and fish, and he would start to buy their furs.
Nice. Yeah.
In around, you know, in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, we bought alligators, or my family bought alligators, and then alligators were put on the endangered species list, so they had to stop. So they continued buying furs during that time. And in 1969, Louisiana and Florida had their first alligator seasons. And they were, no, it was, sorry, excuse me, 1978 and 1979. My bad, I'm getting my numbers. I'm not that old. I was born in 79.
It's a lot to keep up with, I'm sure.
So in 1978 and 1979, the state of Louisiana and the state of Florida had their first sale of alligators after they had come off the endangered species list. And there was an auction. And so my dad went and bought all of the alligators. He just went basically not thinking he was going to buy them all, but he thought that, you know, look, we'll buy them and we'll hold them in our cooler and then we'll sell them. Yeah. So all they were raw skin traders at the time. And so they were thinking that they were going to be able to export them, and the export market, the laws, the international laws hadn't caught up with the U.S. laws yet. So it was still illegal to buy them overseas. So they had them in the cooler, and raw alligator skins are not like wine. They don't get better with age.
Right,
so,
right.
And there was no tannery in the United States to turn them into leather. And so versus going broke, necessity is the mother of all invention, they say. My dad started trying to find people who knew how to tan any type of leather, and he and another one of his friends that worked with him, they built the first tanning drums that we ever tanned our alligators in. They built them themselves. And that's how we started. And so we started the tannery in 1980, and here we are in 2020, still here. And and then my brothers and I all work in the business, and my nephews, so we're now 5 generations in this business.
And y'all are still using...
He's in the room next door. So
that is amazing. A couple of things I love everything about that, but a few things from that I really love is the fact that, like you said, he was just doing it out of necessity. He was just doing it because this is what he had to do to survive, and this is what he needed to do to provide. And look at what this has turned into, and how much good is actually coming out of all of this. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I can just relate to it just because how I got into boots and shoes was I just needed a part-time job whenever I was in college. I was a broke college kid, and I just needed something to provide me with some ramen noodles, you know, just so I could eat. And then I ended up falling in love with this and found out that, wow, well, I could really take this somewhere. So I can relate to that on a definitely a lot smaller scale. He was dealing with a lot, I'm sure, back then. But
it's something that, you know, like I like to point out to people that it's not been easy. You know, I mean, there have been times that, you know, I'm sure my dad throughout the years was worried, you know, how he was going to buy alligators and pay the bills and pay all his employees. And it's a lot of things that a lot of people are going through right now with all of their businesses.
Right.
But, you know, the way we were raised and the way we feel about it is that you just have to get a bow in your back and not be afraid to do any hard work and find a way. So, you know, but it's been a very rewarding thing for me to do. There's very few opportunities for women in Griffin, Georgia, where you get to travel the world. And I have been to pretty much every continent, you know, maybe Antarctica I've not been to, but I've been pretty much everywhere else. Yeah, and it's given me the opportunity.
That is amazing, and again, I'm sure that he did not plan for it to grow as much as this has, but the fact that y'all are still paying such tribute to that, and you guys are keeping it in the family, and you're still wanting to work just as hard to keep it going as much as possible. That's a beautiful thing.
Well,
really is.
It's like Lucchesi. You guys have been around since what, 1883? Am I making
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
That's a long time. That's longer than us. So, you know, I think it's kind of a cool thing to work with with companies that have such deep heritage. It's been, you know, doing these giant alligators. This program with Lucchesi for the giant alligators was was also just kind of a crazy thing that happened. I don't know, what was it like, because you hadn't seen anything like that in the stores, I guess, when y'all first started doing it. No one else in the Western boot business was doing anything like that.
As far as the
Giant Gators.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I personally have not. I have not dealt much with gator hides. Before I came to Lucchesi at all, I knew a little bit about it. But then, whenever these giant towels came across, I thought it honestly blew my mind at first. I didn't know much about.
You didn't know what it was?
I didn't know. I was like, what the heck is this? I mean, the tiles on these things are massive, and I thought, sure, there's no way that's an alligator. Like, this is something else, right? But then, once we got our, I have one of the large hides behind me, it blew my mind. And I thought, okay, I got to know. Yeah, that's it.
This is just for scale, just for people to be able to see. This is just, I mean, like, my head looks like a peanut next to this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of turn this here so people can see. But you can kind of see. This one's kind of a rough one, but you can see just for scale. I'll stand up next to it. Like, this is, and I'm not like a particularly tall person, but I can't even reach my arm across it. These are at least 3 feet wide across the belly.
Yeah.
And the tiles are, oh gosh, the size of a small orange. So, one of the cool things talking about heritage and history of alligators. So these alligators are, they're not farm raised, they're not factory bred or anything like that. These are wild animals. And most of them come out of Louisiana, and they are caught by individual fishermen, people that live off the land in Louisiana, and they are landowners. They have to have the legal right to be able to go hunt them, and that is bestowed upon them as a landowner, and the Louisiana Department of Wildlife decides every year how many alligators need to come out of the population. So it's a population control thing, which is first and foremost, and it's a management program, and it is a sustainable use management program that they figured out after alligators came off of the endangered species list. They said, okay, well, we know that we need to have some culls, but it needs to be controlled. So that's what they put in place. And every alligator has got a little smaller one. Every alligator has a tag on it. And this tag says, I don't know if you guys can see it, it says U.S. CITES. And that means it's a legal alligator. It has a state and a species code on it, and a year, and then a serialized number. And that number is unique to that hunter, that trapper, that guy who caught that. This tag was issued to him, and every single one of the skins that we buy is checked by the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries after the animal is harvested. So we go to Louisiana every year for about 6 weeks, and we buy all of these giant alligators from fishermen across the state of Louisiana. They pull up with their boat with the whole alligator in it, the whole thing. And to give you an example of what it takes, what kind of a strong man or woman that has to pull one of these alligators in a boat, some of these alligators weigh upwards of 600 or 700 pounds. So they're monsters. And on average, after the animal is skinned, probably 250 pounds of meat comes off of that. So we sell all the meat to seafood wholesalers. For those of y'all who haven't tried alligator meat, I would definitely encourage you to try it. Once we get off lockdown, it's a little bit hard to find. You can find it in some grocery stores like Kroger and Walmart, but you'll definitely find it in restaurants. But so all of the meat is used. All of the heads are actually sold usually to taxidermists, and then we bring the skins back to Georgia and tan them here. So one of the cool things about this particular product, I think, is that by the time one of your Lucchese customers puts that pair of boots on his foot or her foot and takes it home, over 100 pairs of hands have touched that boot and have earned a living from that product. Over 100 people, 100 Americans.
Yep.
So it's one of the very few luxury items that's made in the USA, tanned in the USA, product of the USA. And all of those dollars, you know, are going back into American pockets, starting from the landowner himself to the guy that salts the hide, to the guy that sells the meat, to the guy that cuts the meat, to the guy that drives an airboat, all of those things. So it's pretty cool. So
it really is. There's so much good that comes out of it because we're focusing on trying to expand I shouldn't say expand, really to maintain the population of these animals. We're trying to take care of them. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have businesses. We wouldn't be in business at all. So we have nothing but respect for their species, and we only want to grow it. So it's good from the beginning to the end. It's helping out in so many different ways.
Well, without a value, so wetlands landowners, they have, like, you know, if you're a landowner of any other type of land in the United States, you can make your land work for you, whether that be putting up apartments and renting it out, or farming on it, doing agricultural work. But wetlands, you can't do very much there. You can drain it and, you know, plant rice there. You can drill oil there. And so what most of these people do that own wetlands in Louisiana is they've got two main sources of income. That's the sale of alligator eggs and alligator hunting and duck hunting leases. And in that way, they're able to keep the land in its most pristine form. They're able to keep all of the ecosystems intact. And they're able to manage this, you know, the alligator populations there, because they don't want to get them they don't want to get them out of control. So they want to take the largest ones out. That's a public safety thing. So in the state of Louisiana, they have never had a fatal alligator attack, knock on wood. But that is in part because of the value that these the skins have, and for places like Lucchesi that have demand for them, and they are able to educate their customers. So it's really and truly, it is a case of, if you want to save ecosystems and you want to see our wetlands remain wild and intact, and wet and wild, as they say in Louisiana, buy a pair of alligator boots. That's the best way to ensure that that land will be kept in its most pristine form. And I mean, if anybody out there is an ecology lover, I'm sort of an ecology nerd, and I believe in the outdoors, and I, want to have clean air and clean water for myself and for future generations. And believe it or not, wetlands clean more greenhouse gases out of the air than any other type of terrestrial forest. So you can talk about the rainforest till you're blue in the face, but wetlands clean 4 times as much. So, and it's a very simple thing, a very simple way to keep it intact. Make sure it's got a value to the landowner. So,
look at you, I am tan out here just saving the world.
I'm really passionate about alligator and crocodile conservation, and I think it's just great to let people know. But
absolutely, and all of our customers, they want to know these things. I mean, they want. I mean, whenever they look at these hides and they see, or the boots, and they see the scarring and the tick marks and everything, they know, hey, this is marked by nature. This is the real deal, and this is the type of information I love providing to them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so when you guys cut these giant gators, and again, they're upwards of 12 feet long, and they're more than 36 inches wide across the belly. How many pairs of boots are y'all able to cut out of one piece of leather?
Yeah, of course it depends on the sizes of the boots that we're cutting. It depends on the type of cut that we want out of that. But in some of the larger hides, on some of the larger pieces of leather, we've been able to pull 5 to 7 pair out of one. But it also, though, you could get one cut off of one hide, off of one piece of leather, and you may have to look at another piece of leather in order to get a cut that's going to match that, because we do like to make our cuts as uniform and as much of a match as possible, which our leather matchers, they will sit there all day long with 100 to 200 hides in front of them, and they will pull one and say, okay, I need to find one that's going to match this cut as close as possible, and they will sit there all day long, and they will not cut it until they find something as close as possible. So it just depends on the cut that you're going with, but you know, some of those that I've seen, I mean, y'all have had some that were, I mean, I've seen some 15-footers before. I mean, you can get a lot of them out of that. But yeah, it just depends on the boot. And of course, we do full gator boots. This one here, we do it just on the vamps. We've done, you know, we do wingtips and stuff using this. And every single piece of that hide, if we do not use it to put on a boot, any scrap pieces we will use for wingtips, or we use those to make our belts, or we make our wallets. So pretty much no waste whenever it comes to these things. I mean, the amount of work that it takes for us just to get it, the amount of work that y'all do, we don't want to waste any part of it whatsoever.
That's awesome. That's kind of an industry standard. You know, nothing on the alligator is wasted at all. Like, again, I was explaining that the meat is eaten, that the heads are used for taxidermy type items, the teeth are sold, the skin itself. Believe it or not, they're actually using blood now of the alligator to do medical research. They're doing AIDS research and cancer research with it. They are doing research for antibiotic resistant bacterial infections. Because if you look at the alligator in nature, it's one of the only animals that actually doesn't get cancer. So it's kind of crazy.
Really? I didn't know that.
And like, so for example, an alligator that lives in the wild, they fight and that, you know, they bite each other, but they heal up. If you can imagine that, you know, we don't, if we have a lot of bacteria introduced into a cut or a wound, we don't, you know, they don't grow back. But even, you know, they regenerate teeth. So, you know, they're doing a lot of research. It's pretty interesting, the things that are happening. And oh my gosh, it would be incredible if, you know, one day they found a cure for cancer, you know, using the blood of alligators. And it would not be, those types of medicines would not at all, if they are able to come up with something, it would not be affordable at all, unless there is a leather industries, because all of those bloods, the meat, those things are all byproducts of the meat and the leather industry.
Absolutely, yeah. Every bit of it gets used, and that's something that I love conveying over to our customers too. I mean, this is not something where we're just out grabbing this just so we can make a buck off of it. I mean, it's right. It's us. We're really trying to do some good here, and I love here. I didn't know that. I'm learning so much right now.
Yeah,
that's
amazing. I mean, it's you know, on wild alligators in particular. The skin is a byproduct of the meat. The meat is the first product. It is the first product. The second product is the skin and the leather. So, you know, I mean, you have to take those things into consideration. And, you know, every year I would say that the alligator industry puts more than 1 million pounds of meat into the U.S. food supply chain. And it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but when you consider that it's basically at a 0 carbon footprint, that it's just, and there's no antibiotics in it or anything like that. It's all just pure protein. And for anybody out there who's a bodybuilder, I like to tell people that alligator is a white meat, and it does have a lot of protein in it compared to other white meats out there. But it is expensive. It's not a cheap meat. So well, so when we tan these, I mean, just to get into like something, or to tell people some things like this, it takes us about 9 months to tan a wild alligator skin, one of these big alligators, because I don't know if you can see this. I hope to goodness I don't knock this thing over, but this is one of the big alligators that is a giant alligator. And yesterday I was explaining to some of my viewers that they can develop, as they get old, some osteoderms, which are bones in the scale. And you only see this on really, really big alligators. But it takes longer to tan one of these giant gators than it does any other alligator, because we have to soften those bones. I'm going to move this back now. So it takes us 9 months. And then just, you know, to dye and finish these things, they're all full animal and leather. So they're dyed in the drum. It's not anything that's sprayed on top. It's actually dyed through and through. And the finish that we do for Lucchesi is really actually a little different than what we do for everybody else, because you guys do something special that nobody else does. And I'll let you tell everybody about your awesome guys that really hand finish.
Yeah, so we our burnishing department. So yeah, well, first off, to go off of what you said, whenever you do dye them in the drums like that, people will ask me all the time, "Hey, how do I polish these? How do I keep the color in them?" That's what's so amazing about this Giant Gator is it's going to maintain that color. I mean, like you said, it's dyed through and through. You don't ever have to worry about that color fading over time. I mean, you're good to go, and really all you have to do is just polish it to shine the natural dyes that are in it back up. And our burnishing team.
Hold your boot up again. You're okay. So that's the difference. This is a little baby gator. These are Lucchese's too, by the way. These are my boots. I don't know if you can see that. Is it backwards on the screen? It is.
I think it is backwards, but is it?
Queen of Gator.
Queen of Gator. Yeah, those customs. I love it.
Those are mine, but that's the difference in the scale size because these are farm raised skins here. So
isn't that amazing? That's why it blew my mind so much whenever I saw these. I thought, what in the world is this? Because it looked nothing like that. You know, it's truly unique. Every single one's unique. But that's also something that goes along with our burnishing techniques as well. What they'll do is they'll take this hide, and it may, and it may come in very similar to this color. This is one of our cognac Giant Gators. This is a boot called the Derrick, which I'm going to be adding in a link here in just a little bit where everybody can go and check out some of these Giant Gator products just a little bit closer, and some of our care products, which we'll get into. But this one here is our cognac, and if you can see, let me see if I can get it up closer. Around what we call the hinges, y'all may call it something different. We call it the hinges here. It's a little bit darker, and it's darker, maybe across the toe. So what we do is we have our burnishing wheels. And we'll put all of our different polishes on there, and we'll run the boot underneath that, and then we'll also take some of our torches as well and heat that up, and it will slowly darken the boots, slowly lighten them. So every single pair is going to come out just a little bit different, a little bit more unique. You're never going to have the same exact pair as anybody else, which that really just adds to that. Honestly, you're never going to have the same exact pair whenever you're dealing with these types of materials, because every single animal is going to be different. Every different cut is going to be different. So I think that's the true beauty behind it too. That's that way you are getting the real deal here. But our burnishing techniques that we use is something that I am infatuated with. And if I could sit there and dye and and hand burnish boots all day long, I would do it. It's so much fun.
That Derrick boot, I know that one comes in chocolate as well.
And black,
So, and I know this because, I have 5 nephews, and they are all, their feet have stopped growing. And so Aunt Christy this year for them, they all got a pair of Derrick Lucchese boots. Theirs are chocolate with the turquoise at the top. And you know what? Theirs all came out of the same skin, and none of their boots look the same.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. So they all have different ones. So and some of the boys are the same, shoe size, but they know which ones theirs are because they look different. They look totally different.
Whenever I'm pulling pairs for someone in our store to try on, or say that we're building a custom, they can choose kind of if they want one of the flank cuts, which are the smaller tiles, kind of that cobblestone look, or if they want a larger tile. But if I'm pulling just a pair or two off of the shelf for someone to try on, say they're a size 10 or a size 7, if I have 2 or 3 of the same exact boot, I'll pull them all out just so they can see the different cuts, and every single one they'll be able to choose what cut they want. It's kind of fun for us too. I like to say it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? Yeah, whenever you're pulling them out. So
well, the thing that I love so much about, so I got the pleasure of coming to the factory and going down to the Texas place, and the thing that I loved was watching them with the lemon wood pegs to hammer those things. I mean, and it was awesome watching that. Can you tell people a little bit about what y'all do with those lemon wood pegs, and what do they mean, and what are they about? And
yeah, absolutely. Lemon wood pegs, whenever people see it and they see that it's made out of wood, a lot of people actually first off think that our heels and soles are made out of wood. This is actually all steam compressed leather. The wood portion of our boots are going to be those lemon wood pegs. I wonder if anybody can see them. So these lemon wood pegs, there we go.
I'll hold mine up too. You can probably
there you go. You can see it. Yeah. So in a lot of different boots, you'll either see the welt stitching coming all the way down, a full quarter welt stitch, or sometimes you'll even see brass pegging. We use lemon wood pegs for our boots. Now, there's certain things like our our loafer has them as well. But
Yeah.
sometimes we come across certain ropers that you can't fit a lemon wood peg in. But what our lemon wood pegs do, so it's a square peg that's pegged into a round hole, which kind of acts like a screw. It really helps hold it in there. But what lemon wood does is it expands and it contracts with moisture. So
Like
it
leather.
breathes. Yeah, exactly. It's going to breathe with that leather. They kind of have a mind of their own, but they breathe along with your foot and they move along with your foot, because as you're walking in that's flexing, it's moving. And say if you're using a brass peg over time, over a long period of
So a
time.
peg is, so just to say, a peg is kind of like a nail to hold everything together.
Yep.
But y'all use wooden nails instead of using metal nails, so that it flexes and moves and will hold up over time.
Yeah, and over time you'll see those pegs kind of move their way inside, maybe move their way out, but they'll never work their way completely out of the boot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a peg, it's about that long.
Yeah.
And then we sand down the inside of it. But
Wow.
yes, what it does is it helps hold that steel shank in place, and it helps actually you have flexibility in your arch as well, so that boot moves along with you. And we do make some boots with a full quarter weld stitch, but majority of all of our Lucchesis, you're going to see that lemon wood pegging.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing process too to see them do it and how quick our boot makers are. I mean, one hit and they can get that lemon wood peg in. And I don't know, were you able to try?
It's incredible. They're so fast.
Were you able to try a lemon wood peg? Were you able to try it yourself?
Listen, that's above my pay grade. They're not going to let me do something like that.
It is the hardest thing. I mean, you pretty much have to make the hole yourself, make the round hole yourself, and then you have to go back and you do the lemon wood peg inside of it. And I broke every single lemon wood peg. I smashed my finger a couple of times. So it is tough business, but they just go right along with it like it's no problem. It's amazing.
Well, so one of the questions that we get asked quite a lot is, and this is outside of my wheelhouse, because we make leather and we ship it to folks like Lucchesi or to other leather goods makers. And after we ship it out of here, well, that's sort of the last time we see. We see it. I have a few Alligator products myself, but what do you recommend in terms of taking care of Alligator products? Because I think that boots take the toughest beating of any type of product, whether it be a bag or a wallet or anything. I mean, a pair of shoes, they take a beating. So what do y'all use, and how do you take care of it? What do you put on it? How often do you put something on it? How do you take care of it?
Yeah. So if anybody was tuning into our leather care portion earlier last week, I showed our Lucchese leather care kit that has our cleaners, our conditioners. Got you one there? Heck yeah. And this has everything that you need in it. Now these Giant Gators and any of our hides that we are going to be using, any of our leathers that we're using, they're grade A. I mean, they're premium. They are tough. They're meant to be worn. People ask me all the time, what if I get these wet? What if I get them scuffed or anything like that? You're totally fine. They're like a very nice car. They're meant to be driven. They can take it, but you still have to take care of them. Don't just completely neglect them. And so the best way to do that is with our care products. With any of our exotic leathers, our Gator leathers, you can use the same exact products on our Gator as you would, say, one of our cow hides, or our goat skin, or ostrich, whatever it may be. But the Giant Gator, I'll show everybody this care kit here. Has everything that you need in it.
I'm opening mine up too. Come on.
Yeah. It's probably turned around backwards here, but hopefully they can read it. So this care kit comes in this nice little travel case. You can take it anywhere with you. It packs up nice and easy. But ours comes with your leather cleaner. It also comes with your protein-based conditioner. And it also comes with a leather protectant or a water and stain protectant.
Okay.
So it also comes with a horsehair brush.
Walk me through cleaning and polishing up my dirty pair of Alligator boots. Walk me through it. Tell me what to do. So
the first thing I like to do is just take a damp rag and wipe it down, or the buffing cloth that we have here.
Okay.
Yep. Gets your surface dust and dirt off of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you want to take your cleaner.
Cleaner.
Yeah.
Cleaner.
I'll do one right along with you here.
All right. Okay.
Get all that off. Take the cleaner. May take you a couple of pumps. We're just going to spray it on the boot.
I'm kind of one of those people, more is better. Is more better or less better?
It doesn't matter how much you use. It's not going to hurt the boot, but a little bit does go a long way. It does, right? So what this cleaner does is it actually gets down into the pores of the leather and actually cleans out those pores. It draws all that dirt out, which after you use your cloth, you can kind of look at it and see how much has actually been pulled off of it.
Like a Biore pore strip for alligators.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing I like to let people know that, I mean, this is skin. I mean, think about how you would take care of your own skin. It's this pretty much the same concept with any of your leathers.
Okay.
All right. Now, once you've gotten that
look, I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
People are really amazed. It may look fine, but once you really start pulling all that dirt out of the pores, just as we were saying with our own skin, you'll be surprised at how much dirt is actually really in that. So, and the reason you want to draw that dirt out of there is just so the boot can continue to breathe.
Okay.
But after you've done that, then you'll move on to your moisturizer, or as you know, like our lotions that we would use on our own skin, which is our big bottle of conditioner here. Ours comes in spray form. You may have seen other conditioners that just pour out. Yeah, and it has a little lock tab there on the side that you'll need to turn to the side.
Nice, I can see that. Yeah, you turn that. Okay.
There you go. May take you a couple pumps to get some of it out here, but then just spray it right here on the boot. And again, with the conditioner, you can never do too much.
Okay.
Now, some folks like to use a cloth to rub it in just so you don't have to get your hands dirty. I personally like to use my hand.
Okay.
So just massage it into it. I really like to work it in.
Yeah, and it feels like, I don't know, I'm like equating this to like women's facial care product. It feels like a facial serum. It feels like, which, I don't know, it feels really good. It doesn't feel like a lotion. It doesn't feel oily.
Right, and the more that you rub it in, and it doesn't take much, the more you rub it in, it just dissolves right into that leather.
Yeah, and you know what I'm noticing too is no color is coming off or anything like that, so it's very gentle.
As we mentioned, we're just enhancing those dyes that y'all have already placed in there for us, and then the burnishing techniques that our bootmakers have applied.
Okay.
See, look at it already. You can already see that it's got a small shine to it.
Or yes?
If you want to, you can take the buffing cloth and go ahead and buff it out if you want. Any excess. And what I also like to do is I like to use our horsehair brush as well. So if you have any that's gotten into the welt of your boot here, you can rub some of that out as well.
All right.
And this is somewhat of a polishing. Now I'll get into the difference between cleaning and polishing your boots here in a second. But the conditioner itself will put just a small shine on it. But nothing like a mirror.
Look at the difference already.
Isn't that wild? You can already see the matte finishing that's come off. Yeah.
Like this one right here is the clean one, and I mean it's darkened it a little bit, which has just brought the color back to life. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty awesome.
And over time too, once this dries a little bit, some of that darkness, will be pulled back to its original color. But you can already see there how much dirt was lifted off of that. And I'm sure that you could just look down at your boots and say, oh, yeah, they look good. But once you start applying all this on there, you really start drawing out all that dirt. So, and then from there, if you want to, our water and stain protectant. Now, these Gators, if you get them wet or anything like that, the best thing to do is just let them air dry, put your cedar boot trees inside of the boots to draw out all the extra moisture. But then this water and stain protectant is going to work really well on it too. I hold mine, anywhere from 8 to 10 inches away, get you that good even misting. And you can rub it in like you're doing there. I try not to pull, obviously, all of it off of there because you want to let it kind of put a sealant over the top of it, or kind of like a clear coating. Right. And then just let them air dry.
Good.
Yeah.
I wish I had somewhere to go. I have nowhere I can just wear them at home and enjoy it myself.
Yeah, just throw them suckers on and just kick around in the house. Yeah. See, already they're beautiful. They look like new again. But if you wanted to throw a polish or anything on them, polish to me is what I consider like makeup. It's strictly cosmetic. Now, all of this stuff was skin care.
Oh, wow, that's a great way to.
We've taken care of the leather now. We've moisturized it. And then now, if you want to shine them up, there's plenty of great polishes out there. Now, you want to get one that's going to be the closest color to your boot. Unless the boot is black, obviously you can just use the black polish on it.
Right.
But with our Gators, majority of them, I like to just use a neutral color. Again, so we're just enhancing the dyes that y'all have already applied into the boot there.
Well, so we have a few questions here. I'm going to pull some up on the screen. We got 7 questions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, here we go. If I purchase a pair of Gator boots, can I choose what kind of tiles I get?
Yeah, so if you, again, as I was mentioning earlier, if we have multiple pair, say that you liked this Derek, you like the Rodney that we have, if we have multiple of this boot in your size, we can choose from all of the different cuts that we have there in front of us. But if you have a particular cut, I'll roll out this giant tile gator hide that we have, and I will let you choose what you want. And then if we're building you a pair of boots, whether it's just this boot in that certain cut or completely custom, we'll send in those references along with it, and we'll make it. Now, always keep in mind as well, we'll get it as close as we possibly can, but we're dealing with real hides here, so everyone's going to be a little bit different, but that's what makes it special.
So we have someone who wants to know where they can buy the kit. I'm going to put a link up to it, but they're sold from Lucchesi.com.
Yeah.
They are, what's the price of the kit?
The kit is $75, and
okay.
I also just I put that link in there if they can follow along. But yeah, if you'll post the link as well. But yeah, the kit, again, it comes with everything that you need. You can buy some of these products separately, but this also comes with the buffing cloth and the horsehair brush. This is $75, and you can buy it at Lucchesi.com, and we'll throw that link in.
Well, and also, guys, Lucchesi was nice enough. I have a handful of these other kits that Lucchesi's going to give away. And we're going to put a couple of Bamtan goodies in there. To those of you who've asked some questions, we're going to put your name in a bucket later today, or probably do it over the weekend, and go from there, and then we'll give them away, and we'll reach out to you. So this one is for me. What's the difference in the tanning process between glazed and matte alligator? Believe it or not, I don't even have any glazed alligator in this room with me, or I would show you, but the tanning is exactly the same. So tanning the leather is taking the raw skin and turning it into a piece of leather. That is what tanning is. Finishing is the way you finish the leather. So we take our crust, which is tanned leather that is not dyed or finished. It's like a nice, pretty white color. And then we finish it. Matte finishing, or we call it our desert finishing, is dyed in a drum, as well as glaze finishing. They're both dyed in a drum, full aniline leather. And then once they come out of the drum, everything after that dye process is what determines if it's glazed or matte. So our dye process, believe it or not, if we're going to make black matte and black glazed, our dye process is, while they're both dyed in the drum, it is completely different. We use different dyes, different oils, different leather enhancers. It goes for different times, different pHs. It's completely different. Once the glazed finished leather comes out of the drum, they are seasoned with a special seasoning that we use. They're dried, and then they are polished with an agate stone on a machine called a glazing jack. And it's completely dry. We don't put anything on it to make it glossy. It is just polishing the skin with a smooth stone. Matte finishing comes out of the drum, and we use a different seasoning for those, a different enhancer for that leather. And then those are polished with either a felt roller, or they're polished by hand, depending on the color. So but it's a completely different process.
That is amazing. Y'all have it just broken down to a science. It is amazing.
Okay, here's one for you. Do y'all sell boots with wide sizes?
We do. We have narrow sizes, extra narrow, medium, standard widths, wide, extra, extra wide. We used to build boots for Andre the Giant. So if we can build boots that wide, we can accommodate all of you. Now, most of our standard sizes, for ladies, it will start out with a B width. You'll see that along with the length size. And for men, it's a D width, and then for the men, we'll go up into, a single E or a double E or a triple E, and for ladies, we'll go up into, a C or a double C, whatever you need. And we do stock medium standard widths and then also wide widths as well for pretty much every single boot that we make. But if you find a boot that you like and we don't have it in your size, we can build it for you. Whether it's custom or if it's stock, we will make it for you. Absolutely.
Here's a couple more. Let's see. Where can I find? Okay, here we go. Do I need an appointment for custom boots, or can I do it online?
So online, we actually have our custom boot builder. It's something that we're still expanding on, but you can start there just to kind of help you get some ideas, because whenever it comes to custom boots, whenever it comes to boots in general, there are a lot of different moving parts that go into building this. You have your vamps, your heel counter, your quarters, and then that's just the beginning of it. So you can go online to our custom boot builder on Lucchesi.com, go ahead and start playing around with that. And then from there, if you've gotten to a certain point where you want to take it a step further, or we need to do certain custom measurements, you can call up one of our Lucchesi stores and make an appointment with them, or talk to one of our customer service representatives. I know here in Nashville, I do a lot of customs. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. If you come in, make an appointment with me, I'll take your foot mappings, take all of your measurements, and we'll get you set up with pretty much whatever you want. As long as it's legal, we can do it.
So these are my custom boots, and I'll tell everybody about my custom experience. It was a little different because I wasn't in a store. I was actually at the factory. And so they had me sit down in a chair, and they measured, all around my ankle, up around my calf, and then they had me stand up. They drew my foot in a little book thing, measured everything. And then, I actually, chose some farm-raised alligators because we actually have an alligator farm as well. So we chose some skins for farm because I felt like, and this was before, I guess, y'all were doing the Giant Gator boots, and I need to get on board and get a pair of those too.
Yeah.
But this was done for me. So my personal Instagram is Queen of Gator, and it kind of started as a joke because I had these calling cards made that said Queen of Alligator. And at a trade show, my Italian business partners, where we have our warehouse in Milan, and we work with another tannery there. They're kind of like our sister tannery in Italy. They liked the cards so much that they started giving them out. So the name kind of stuck. So I decided that I needed a pair of. So they have hot pink trim around the top. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, nice accent.
And then the collar is made out of alligator here.
Nice
and
overlays.
Something very simple pulls there.
Yeah.
But I loved my, custom boots. They're something so special. Everywhere I go, people compliment me on them. And, it's awesome because there's very few places where you can have a pair of custom made luxury boots made in the USA out of an American product. And, I think that's awesome because it's something that Lucchesi does. Absolutely.
And we pride ourselves in that. A lot of our boot makers are third and fourth generation Lucchesi boot makers. It's just in their blood. And all of our boots are handmade in El Paso, Texas. If you were to have anything made by us, it's going to be made by the same exact boot makers that make any of our stock products. And we're going to be building it specifically to your liking. I mean, we're pretty much encompassing you in a boot. And as people saw on your custom boots, we can do embroidery, we can do inlay, overlay, I can laser etch things on leather. I mean, pretty much if you can think it up, we can do it. And we take pride in that because whenever you're in working with us, creating your custom boot, you're the designer. You get to handpick every single piece of that boot. And that's something that I think is a beautiful thing because you'll create that and then you can pass it on to your family members, and it kind of becomes kind of like a family heirloom in a sense. Yeah.
Here's somebody who wants to know where they can find, boots. And somebody else wanted to know where the store is in Nashville. So I know y'all are closed right now, but where can these people go? Where does Lucchesi have your retail stores? And I know you can buy things at Lucchesi.com as well.
Absolutely.
And then there's a number of retail stores that y'all have. Where are your retail stores located?
So our retail stores, we have a few across the country, just a handful as of right now. But San Antonio, which is where we were started back in the 1800s. We have Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have, let's see here, we have Dallas, which is where our corporate offices are, and one in Frisco at the Star, the Dallas Cowboys training facility there. We also have one in Houston as well. We have one here in Nashville. Now, the one here in Nashville, we're the furthest one east. We're the only one this side of the Mississippi River, but we're located down in the Gulch area. And online, you'll be able to search and see exactly where all those stores are. You can call any of those. If you're not in one of those cities, please feel free to call one of our customer service representatives, one of our sales associates on the phone. Whenever we are choosing who is working in our store, we're very picky, because whenever it comes to these things, there's a lot of information that comes along with these.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a boot fanatic like me, but we do ask that you are going to take interest in these products, because these are a beautiful thing, and this is something that someone is spending their hard-earned money on, and we want them to be happy with their purchase, want them to be confident in that. So all of our sales associates across the entire Lucchesi fleet, they know their stuff. So call us with any of your questions. Call us just to talk about boots. I will talk your ear off about boots all day long. But you can reach us at any one of those retail locations. And, of course, our great customer service team based in El Paso, Texas, you can always give them a call or shoot them an email as well.
So I bought, I mean, like, again, like I can share just my own consumer experience was for, I guess it was my boyfriend's, it was like, I don't know, his birthday or something, and I wanted to get him a pair of boots. But so I wanted him to have a pair of the Mad Dog boots, the Mad Dog goat leather.
Yeah.
And so I called up the Nashville store, and it was, of course, I'm last minute Lucy. And, you know, they were able to get them out for me overnight. I mean, it was so awesome. Like, you know, Denise had wrapped them. I mean, it was just phenomenal. So, and then when he got them, you know, he was kind of like, I don't know about this shape. So I was like, can I send these back? She was like, yes, absolutely. We'll pick them out another pair. And so it's just awesome. Just makes the whole process really easy, because I felt like I honestly, it was like having a personal shopper, to be totally honest. So.
Absolutely. And if any of our viewers right now are able to come into the store, it is such an experience. It's one that you'll never forget. Now, we know whenever you're getting a Lucchesi product, you're getting grade A premium, you're getting quality product. But what we also want you to leave our stores with is a memory. Because I know whenever I first walked into the store, I was just working part-time at a boot store in college, but whenever I walked into that Lucchesi store, something just clicked. Something was different. How they greeted you. We want you to come in. We want to talk to you. Get a drink in your hand. Show you the design area. It's a lot of fun. Lots of fun.
I'm trying to read all of this. This person wrote kind of a long question. Can you tell the kind of life an alligator had based on empirical evidence we can by observing X-rays of bones in people? I mean, yeah, listen, I mean, I can look at a skin and I can tell you, you know, the type of life they had. I don't know if you guys can see this one here, but I'm going to try to, you can see this is a really pretty clean skin. That alligator probably lived in a place in the bayou or in his body of water where he was probably, one that didn't have a lot of interaction with other animals. It might have been an alligator that lived in a pond, but he's not had a lot of fights. This one here, on the other hand, has had quite, I mean, you know, was not a, you know, you can see these scars here. It's not unusual for us to find in the tannery these giant gators that are just missing limbs, missing legs. An alligator is a super territorial animal by nature, so if there are other alligators in the area, they are definitely going to fight. So you can absolutely tell, you know, if they've had it kind of easy or if they've not had it easy. And those scars are a testament to that alligator, you know, fighting for territory, fighting for food. So, yeah, for sure. That was kind of a cool question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Let's see. Oh, my gosh.
I think it's given us about 6 more minutes on here.
Yeah, I think so. So what I'm going to do is we've got a ton of these questions that I'm going to go through. I mean, there's a lot in just the comments. And I'm going to go through and we're going to pull out some things and we're going to, you know, draw some things out, and we will send these gifts off to people. But Dustin, thank you so much for joining. Can you give everybody your information and so how they can reach out to you if they want to order a pair of custom alligator boots or goat leather boots, or you know, so how do they get in touch with you, like during quarantine, if they need a pair of boots for when they get done? Like me, I'm gonna wear mine when I'm out of this.
Yeah. So right now I'm calling in from our Lucchesi team's Instagram. You can chat us on that to get in touch with me. Also, you can go on our website. We have a new live video chat app that we're using called Immerse. You can call in and video chat with any of us in our stores. I will be logged in for the rest of this weekend, so call in on that. Ask me any questions you have. You can also reach me at my email, dbowen@lucchesi-inc.com, or, you know, at our Nashville store, of course, whenever it opens back up. But my own personal Instagram account, that's where I also put up a lot of the custom designs that I do. Please feel free to reach out to there, even if you just want to chat with me about boots, at @DustBowen. Reach me there as well. Would love to help out in any possible way. This has been so much fun, and Miss Chrissy, I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to come on here and chat with you even more. I could talk your ear off all day long about this stuff. This is so much fun.
It's awesome. Thank you again, guys. So that was Dustin Bowen from Lucchesi. You can reach him at @DustBowen on Instagram. You can email him at d.bowen, right?
dbowen@lucchesi-inc. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you again. Hope you learned something. Hope you learned how to care for your boots. And these leather polishing kits, these leather cleaning kits from Lucchesi, I will recommend them out actually to our customers who are not even cleaning Lucchesi boots, because it'll work great on our alligator. So $75 for the kit. I think it's a pretty good deal because they're really, really nice. So we'll put those out for people who want to buy them, and then we're going to send out these giveaways. So thank you so much. Everybody have a good weekend and stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.